Hello, Hemispheres, editors, InDesign users, all future members of the creative team, or whatever we're going to call y'all. Thank you so much, first of all, for taking the time to be a part of the magazine, be a part of Hemispheres, and dedicate your time to this. InDesign may be a little bit infuriating at times, but it'll be worth it, I promise. Yeah, first things first, let me say that YouTube is your friend, and the InDesign, like, Adobe forums are your friend, because a lot of people have had the same problems that you're going to have, and a lot of people have answered the questions to those problems. So, look around on the internets if you're having some sort of specific problem, but I am going to be going through the basic stuff that I learned and that I used for formatting stuff. And thankfully we already have the template, so I really just recommend using the template and deleting everything and then filling it in from there. And by that I just mean this one right here in the final, or InDesign, and then actual Hemis in here, and I'll show you how to make this package folder. You can do it in InDesign, but to open just the file itself, it's the .indd file. So I'd already downloaded that. You're gonna open InDesign. I recommend just using the Tufts. I think I'm on my personal free trial account, but definitely get the subscription on the Hemispheres email, because that makes sense, so y'all can all work on it. Hopefully multiple computers are able to work on the same account. Yeah, okay. Open the final 2025 folder. Loading, and then it'll give you, the first thing is going to give you like a little error thing, because it's going to say links are missing. Don't worry about that. I'll show you what that means in a little bit. And then it's also going to mention that fonts are missing, which is also fine. There'll be an option here to like replace fonts in the like Adobe Creative Cloud. I think when you have it downloaded. I don't have it downloaded, but you'll just be able to click like on the Creative Cloud option, and then it's literally just like check boxes. It's like super easy to add whatever font you want, and then it'll show up in the like when you're making text, and then it'll show up in your options up here. Or yeah, it's in this like find more Adobe fonts, add Adobe fonts instantly. Yeah, okay. Anyways, we'll get to that, I guess, when we go to text boxes. But the first things first, I think, is the Pages tab right on the right here. It's also in the Windows tab. Yeah. And make sure you're on Advanced. I think I like Advanced a lot better. It may, when you first open up, be on like Essentials or something, which is fine, I guess, but I kind of learned to use Advanced because you have this toolbar up top here that is helpful for text, all things text. But okay, Pages tab. The Pages tab, looks like we got some relics from the last magazine, but okay. This doesn't honestly look right. Maybe this isn't the final version, even though it's called actual final version. But as you can see, I don't have these images, so they're all like X'd out. But we don't need to worry about that. I'll use different images as examples. Pages. This is how you're gonna like get around to the pages most easily, rather than like scrolling. You can just go here, use this thing with your mouse, and then double click, and then boom, you get taken to that page. If you need to select multiple pages because, say, you want to copy like everything here and then paste, which actually doesn't even work, but say like you need to delete both of these, or move all of these somewhere, then you hold Shift and then click, and I'm still holding Shift, and then it adds to your selection. And then when you don't click Shift, it just does single pages. The most important thing about Pages, other than just like learning how to navigate your InDesign file, is these parent pages. So as you can see, we have this random one that I never really used, and like you can just delete. You really only need one, I think, unless you're. Yeah, I mean, for the time being, I think you'll really only need one for the articles. So I'm just gonna delete this one. But make more, I guess. That's not necessarily true. You can make more if you want. You can have a template for the articles and then a template for maps, or whatever. But this is basically your templates. So as you can see here, I have the view mode on. I just clicked W. That turns like the grids on and off. I don't know, I just call it like the view, the grid mode. Use it to like line things up on the page, but sometimes it gets cluttered, so I don't really like having it on. But this is the parent page. I put a bunch of text here things to see what the word count is, and I copied and pasted it into a doc to just see what the word count is. But you don't really need this. You could delete it, and the text boxes will still be there as a template when you add it to the pages on the actual file. So this is what will show up whenever you add a new page on the file. And then this down here is a page number. I'll show you really quickly. You make a text box. Just make sure you already have a text box selected. Make sure that's selected yet. Boom. Then you go to type. You go down to insert special character, markers, current page number. And then we're at 40. We're at 47 point font in the bottom here, so that is why it's not showing up. It's those little things. When things aren't working, just check those little things. And so then that A would show up as another page number if I were to add. So it's like, for example, let's go down to page 63. Let's right click and insert a page. Boom. Okay, for some reason it didn't actually show. Oh, that's because it's on the right side. So as you can see, like the right spread doesn't have that second page number. But if I were to, I'm going to press Control-Shift-P is another hotkey to do it, to add a page. If you're on Mac, I think that's Command-Shift-P. So boom, the left spread does have the little page number. And then when I take it off, boom, boom, Shift-P again, no longer there. Cool. But then say you want to edit these, or I guess I took it off since it's using the parent page. As soon as you edit from up there, it takes it off. But say I'm importing and I just added these new pages, and for some reason I can't select it. That's just because you need to go on the right here, select both spreads, all the spreads that you want to edit, right click, override all parent page items, and that just means now you can edit all the items on the page. So let's go tutorial by Sam, and the section is going to be tutorials. So yeah, say this is what I'm starting out with, and like, I mean, obviously I recommend kind of just deleting deleting the table of contents and stuff, and like still using the general layout if you want. I guess using the general layout for these, but then kind of developing your own style as you go. If you want to make a new parent page with all the titles differently, have at it. Nothing is standardized by any means, or like obviously standardized within the file it is, but within Hemispheres everything is always up for grabs. Have at it, be as creative as you'd want with the format. But let's say I want to import. Sorry, oh my god, everything's got to be even. Everything's got to be even. Let's say I want to import, and I'm starting a new section, and this is the first. This is going to be a batch of articles for my tutorial section. I'm not in tutorial section. This is going to be a batch of articles for my tutorial section, and so let's say I already made the section within on my Google Docs, and let's say this is like there's like 2 articles in here, right? This is like this is the second tutorial article, and this is the first tutorial article. And then the footnotes are continuous throughout this. I would go to File, I would go to Download DocX, I'd go back here, double click, go to File, Place, or Control D if you're on Windows, Command D if you're on Mac. Select the doc, make sure you're in the file already, and then boom. And if you're not in the file, or if you're, sorry, not file, if you're not in the text box and you select it, it's just going to show up on your cursor, and it'll want you to, okay, I was selected in the text box, I guess. It'll want you to make the text box and like drag it, like so, boom. Okay, cool. But hey, when you do this, you look at it and you say, whoa, looks weird. There's some weird formatting over here. It's like Arial at some points, but Times New Roman at others. And it's not justified, but over here it is justified. it's going to look really weird when you upload it. All you got to do to fix that, Control A, go to Paragraph Styles, select Default. This default is going to be different. I don't know if this is the same. I opened this file. This is part 2 because I just recorded like another video, but the audio wasn't working. So this might not be the same one on the version you have. So I just recommend going to Edit, making sure it's, yeah, like this says source serif. This shouldn't, or it should be whatever font you want it to be. Have at it. go crazy on whatever you want. But yep, edit the size, edit the spacing, the line spacing, all of that. You can even edit the like a specific justification and character color. So yeah, once you do that, whenever you upload a article, you just Control A or like select everything like this, and then click on that style, and then it'll automatically do it for you. And that'll make your lives a whole lot easier once you use that. And you can delete all the rest of these that show up. You really only need the one default, and maybe one for like your heading would be a good idea. But okay. Now I'll explain what this footnotes by means. When you upload, as I just did, and you're using footnotes, boom, boom, and boom, what InDesign wants to do, because we're numbering it by section, footnotes by section, like restarting it by section, starting at 1. So, and the reason I say that is because that's the language of InDesign. So when I go to Pages and say this is a new section right here, right click, go down to Numbering and Section Options, and then this checkbox right here will start a section. And the reason that matters, honestly, you don't need to do it for every single section, but what you do need to do that for is right up here. I don't know why I just did that and didn't use the Pages tab, but should have used the Pages tab. The reason that matters is because if you want the page numbers to restart, and if there's ever any issues with footnotes numbers restarting, it might have something to do with the sections, because the sections are little triangles above the pages right here. And so when you click on ones that already like exist, like this one, because I already made this one, you'll see the options. Boom, I started it at 1, the Roman numerals like this, or in this style, and then it just went 1 through 4 on these spreads. But then when the new section starts at the page right here, this is supposed to be the map, I have this set to start page numbering at 1, non-Roman numerals, just normal numbers. So, boom, click OK. Actually, don't click OK because that probably messes with the numbering. That would be like double adding the section. But that's what sections are. And you can play around with those settings if like the page numbering isn't working, or you ever need to like add more Roman numerals. Say like our staff list gets longer and you need another spread. Just make sure that when you're adding that new page, like so, if you were to do that, that it's before this section, that the section isn't changing. But cool, okay. Because otherwise the page numbering wouldn't work. But cool, okay, back to footnotes. So the way, and this, I did this for, I mean, you can see, I'll show you. Paragraph styles, footnotes by. All I did was put this setting as the default footnote format, which is 0.1 point font and no character color. And I'm just explaining this so y'all, like, if you ever have an issue with the footnotes and something doesn't make sense, you understand like what's going on in the document. This is how I solve the problem, because otherwise InDesign wants to put a footnote at the bottom, and I will show you how that looks, and it looks really stupid. Because we basically want endnotes. When you insert an endnote, then it adds a whole other page at the bottom, and you can't delete that without it deleting the original endnote. So how I worked around it was just by adding it to this footnote formatting, footnotes by, right in this setting right here. If I didn't do that, and if it was default, as you can see, it would look like that. So if you ever see something that looks like that and you're like, what the hell, why is this working, or why is the footnotes not working, it probably has something to do with the footnote options. Make sure that is on the footnotes by. or something that accomplishes the same the same task. Okay, on to graphic design stuff. Let me please make sure my mic is working. It is. Oh my gosh, that's lovely. Okay, let's move on to graphic design stuff. How should I demonstrate this? Okay, let's just go back down here. Yeah, so say I have everything formatted. I use my paragraph styles. I use the place function, and now I need to place a picture. So do the same thing, place or Control D. Let's use this random image I have on my computer. Oh great, my mother's Caltech Employees Credit Union. I don't like the size of that. Let's make it a little smaller. Boom. Let's say I want to add this right here. I move this text box down, and make sure when you're selecting text boxes, you're on the like hollow looking one, the black selection tool, rather than the white one. The white one you can shear off, like you can resize text boxes. Okay. Somehow you can, like that. I don't know why this one was working. Like that. There we go. But this one just moves it around. So make sure you're using the right one. Let's move this here, and like that. So like, okay, when you're moving pictures, there's like two different boxes. There's like the cropped frame, and then there's where the actual picture is, and that's what this little like circle means. So it can get weird sometimes, but like you got to make sure that red frame is where the picture is too. But if you're clicking it and you see the wheel, that means you're moving the picture itself. Wheel is good. Wheel means you can move it. So let's say I want to put it right here. And let's say I want to make a little frame for it. Like a little backdrop shadow kind of thing. I do that, and it's just, as you can see, it's just like an empty rectangle. I use the rectangle tool right here on the left. Just an empty rectangle. I select it. I go to swatches, and then I select the color I want. And the way you add a swatch is by clicking down here. I think I have too many. New color swatch, and then select whatever you want. Or you can, yeah, you can put in the color values, like the formula and everything like that. But let's say I want it red, or no, like let's just make a normal like black one. Boom, now it's black. Now I want it behind the thing, but it can't seemingly get behind the thing because it just moves over the top of it. By thing I mean the picture. I don't know. Sorry guys, I'm tired. It's almost 1 over here. Okay, boom. I'm here. Now what do? I go to Layers tab. Well, this is like the kind of formal way of like seeing what's going on. So this is the layers of everything in the order that it is on the page. So rectangle is on the top. That's why it obstructs the Caltech like logo. So to fix that, you could either take the rectangle and like drag it to the bottom, but that kind of gets confusing sometimes doing all that dragging. So what I just like to do is right click, hover over arrange, and send backwards as many times as I need until it looks fine. So boom, that looks fine, but then I say, okay, well, my frame is bigger than my, let's say this is an image, or I guess this isn't really applicable to the scenario. So let's just say this is a different image completely. That's how you make the frame. That's how you like use the color swatches, and it's important, very important, that you're using the same colors like universally. Use this Hemispheres orange like all the time. Make sure you're using the same black. You're using the same, yeah. Just make sure you're using the same colors. Okay, I don't know why we're doing that. Let's upload a new new image. So let's see, this is a new image, and putting it right here. But oh no, we made it too big. Okay, how do we resize it? Right click, transform, or like rotate something or whatever. And you're always going to need to like use these tools because, you know, things need to be moved around, things need to be rotated. Inevitably, you'll probably use these tools. The issue with using these tools, though, is as you can see, if I rotate something at a 20-degree angle, and then I'm going to do it again. Let's just rotate it like that, and then let's do scale it up 140 because oh, I got it wrong the first time. Let me make it big again. Uh-oh, all of a sudden, as you can see, that image, hold on, as you can see, that image just lost a shit ton of quality compared to like the freshly uploaded one. Because every time you transform an image, it loses quality a lot on InDesign. It's not like Photoshop where it retains the quality. It loses a lot of the quality every time you use one of those transform functions. So just make sure you're trying to get it as accurate as possible the first time, and make sure you're only transforming it like once or twice. Otherwise, it will look blurry, and you will probably have to like just re-upload it, so for it to not look so blurry. So yeah, that's an important thing to know about graphics, and that applies to any JPEG, any PNG, any image you're uploading has that quality loss when you're transforming. But okay, I think that is kind of it. I talked somewhat about text boxes, I talked about the Pages tab, I talked about graphic design a little bit. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to know. I don't know. I think that's kind of it. If you have any other problems, please just like look at the forums, Adobe forums, because that is where I got all my answers basically, or like YouTube videos of people explaining stuff. And yeah, please, for the future, I mean, this is something that I didn't do very well, was making the margins consistent. I kind of prioritize consistency across, or consistency within spreads more than I did consistency across spreads. So like, I would try to make this bottom margin the same, like this, for example. But then if the previous article had all this spacing, right, like this is like a half an, or like a quarter of an inch or half an inch of space, I would try to make that line up with the other page on the spread. So like they would both have a quarter of an inch or a half an inch, even though the next one is like non-existent. Because I would just think, like, looking at it like that as a spread, like your eye is less likely to catch inconsistencies across spreads than within spreads. But if you're able to like completely standardize the margin and really stay true to like the parent page templates and like really stick on it, that is probably the goal. Like to make everything, I think this is fine, like a little, like a super small, like an eighth of an inch right there. Like I think that would be ideal if we could have that for every single one. Same with the top margin. But that's just not what I did for this one, because I wanted to, because of page constraints, I squished things together. I tried to, you know, get as many words in the page as possible, in each page as possible. And so I did some stuff, like I would just extend this, or I would do that, to get the other article in. But that's just a side note of what I would like done better in hindsight. But I'm sure y'all will do great. So I'll do the last step here, which is going to be how you're going to upload to Drive. When you're working on it with like within each team, you should like put in, like within the creative team, sorry, you should put in InDesign your photos used right here, and then just make sure y'all have these downloaded. And I think it's easier to kind of just, as you're working on, if there's multiple people working on it, just put in the InDesign file, like when you save as, right here, boom, downloads, replace it, and then like upload just the .indd. But when you're sending it to Kurt, or like say you're like really far down the line and you need to like send it to Zoe, or you send it to your editor-in-chief because they want all the however it happens, like say you're working on it, you're getting all the pictures together, but like the editor-in-chief needs to send it to the publisher, so you need to package it together. And so how you do that is put all the images that you've used, all the links that you've used, all of the fonts that you've used, everything will be in a single folder, and that's what that is in the file right here. So you're just going to go to where I just went, is Files, Package is at the bottom here near Print, and then this is just saying that it's putting all the fonts, links, colors, everything, like even down to swatches that you've used in one folder, so that when somebody downloads that folder from InDesign, like if I were to just download this entire folder, and then reopen this, I don't even think I'd need to reopen it. All I would need to do is go to the links tab, and I'll just finish this process. It'll make the folder, boom, and making the folder. So if I were to download it on the drive with all those images, and then go to links, I'm going to cancel it because I honestly don't want, oh, it's not letting me cancel. There we go. Okay, there we go. And then go to each of these images, it would just automatically repopulate it. And like, there would probably be a setting, yeah, relink. It would just relink all of them. And I would select, like, maybe I can actually. Oh, look, boom. Let's do an example. I think that should be the right one, because I tried this earlier. Oh, okay, maybe I just ruined everything. But that's an example of how it would be if you didn't have those images and you want to download the package. Really? We're gonna blue circle in me? Okay, well, you get the gist. It'll relink from the folder that you have the images in, which is just going to be this packaged folder, which you can just upload into InDesign, and that's how you're going to send it to the publishers. But yeah, that's basically it. I think my InDesign crashed doing that, though. I don't really think there's anything else for me to say. If you have any issues with importing text, importing docs into the footnotes and all things like that, I would say just double check that everything is correct in the doc you're preparing first, because this is like it's way easier to edit in Google Docs than it is in InDesign. InDesign is like, you know, a layout formatting program. It's not like a type, whatever you call a type facing, whatever you call those programs that are like, I don't know the umbrella term for them, but you know what I'm saying. The footnotes and endnotes function on InDesign is a lot harder to use than the one on Google Docs. So just make sure everything looks good on here first, because having to go back and fix typos on the InDesign file is a real pain. So yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks again. Thanks for sticking around. Sorry this is kind of just a one-take ramble session. But I'm going to upload it to YouTube and then put little timestamps. So hopefully you can just scroll to the parts that are most helpful in the current moment. But again, thank you guys so much for putting the time in to handle this next magazine. I'm sure it'll be lovely. Alright, y'all. Bye-bye.